Hey, will you stop tickling the back of my neck? Good. Oh, no, here we go. Hey, everybody. It wasn't her. It was the cat. The cat's tail tickling me on the back of the neck. Can you believe we got all three of us in the frame right at go time? This is excellent. We did not pose in there. Welcome to What's Up Wednesday. In fact, it's the final What's Up Wednesday of 2022. I'm really excited to share this all with you. In case you hadn't noticed, we aren't Scott. Scott's here in spirit. He's back here standing on top of the van, hiding from the wild burros. But we're really glad to be in the hot seat tonight, and we're going to share a little bit of our story and everything. Oh, there he goes up into the pizza oven. That's his little apartment up there. Those of you with the G floor plan or a Travato know what that's like up there. So I'm really excited to get started. We've got some cool stuff to go through, just like Scott's always doing. Really excited to read some of your comments. You've already been dropping some good questions in here for us. This is our van, the Constitution. And so here's our program for tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about who we are, but not too much unless you really want to know. Ask us some questions. If you can't hear us or see us very well, make sure you jump in and let us know something's going on with the video or the audio. We're going to tell you what it's like living in here for 2 years full time now, just over 2 years, what it's been like sharing this spacious 125 square foot studio apartment. we do have on Scott's inspiration, a Libation live to share with you tonight. Something cool, something local. I think he'll be proud of us for finding. We're going to be doing a song of the week too. And if you have any questions for us, that would be a great help for us. Help us write the show. If you have them, drop them in the comments. Sandy's going to watch and shout them out to me. I threw a few things on here that we like to do, and there's Scott's usuals there too, to help you remember some questions to ask us.
Make sure if you're going to ask a question to do the asterisk question marks. That way we can see what's going on.
Really makes it easy to stand out in the comments. Here's a sneak peek at our Libation Live from Aerodrome Distilling. If you happen to be in the Corpus Christi area, you might know who I'm talking about. And that's where we're coming to you from, Corpus Christi, Texas, on the Gulf Coast. Glad to be down here. We had a nice sunny day. The weather's warming up. We had that cold spell just like everybody else, and now it's looking a little better. This is our favorite weather app, Seasonality Go. 77 degrees today, partly sunny. No rain, at least today. There's a small chance coming up, but I'm not going to complain. For Christmas week, us Ohioans are quite pleased. Quite pleased. What's the weather like in your area? Sandy's going to check that out here in a little bit in the comments. Here is the gas prices and the real estate. Something cool to keep an eye out as you travel through different parts of the country. We're looking between $2.34 and $2.69. Not too bad. We probably 70% of the time get our gas at Sam's Club, and that's been towards the low end of that. It helps us out on the average. Redfin here says there's quite the spread as far as real estate goes, from something in inland or something out here on the out on the water. Some of these places are really nice, and lots of areas are really starting to grow up here in Corpus Christi, and still some affordable stuff further inland. And we've got some friends even further inland with some nice areas near state parks, and that's pretty cool. So where are you watching from? I would be ecstatic if we got Scott's first South American, Greenlandian, or Antarctican viewer on here. He'd probably be mad at me though. So if you're watching from somewhere interesting, I know there's some cool stuff that this is a pretty global show, which is just wild, and so we're going to go through the comments here a little bit and see what y'all are asking, how things are going in your neck of the woods.
I got some familiar faces in here.
Oh, I see Mike. I see Teresa.
Let's scroll back a little bit. You guys are going way faster than we are.
Good.
There's Mike. Hey, Chris and Sandy, break a leg. We got your support from Mesa, Arizona.
Thanks, brother.
Ooh, raining all day. That's unusual for Mesa, isn't it? 53 high, 50 low, gas $2.99 a gallon. Nice to see you, Mike. Thanks for showing up. We have Dave and Lee's Summit. Howdy, you three. Hope you have a good time. In New Orleans, 64 degrees, Costco gas $2.40.
Just came through Baton Rouge and Lafayette. Had a good time on our way through Louisiana, but we didn't make it out to New Orleans. We'll be going out there soon. Godley, Texas. Now that sounds like a place from a Louis L'Amour novel. I love it. Good evening from Godley, Texas. 50 degrees, gas $2.35. Happy holidays.
Thanks, John. Jane's a regular, right?
Yeah, she was guest hosting too. Sandy, Chris, and Benny. Roger and Jane join you from Byron, Illinois. Have fun tonight. Spring like 40 degrees. I hear that. This it was windy today, 70, and it felt like I should be planting corn. But I don't think that the natives here feel that way.
Yes, absolutely. Like John says, don't forget to hit the thumbs up for Scott.
Hit it for Scott too. He'll be back here and he'll expect to see lots of thumbs up.
And we have Sherry. Good evening. We will rock this. I hope so. Wisconsin is warming up to a balmy 35 degrees and gas is going up to 289.
Thinking warm thoughts for you. There's a few months to go yet.
Here we go. We've got a hello from Ohio, our home state. Gas 333, temp 43. That's better than the negatives that you were having a couple days ago for sure. Frisco T. Hey, Chris and Sandy. I know you'll do great. Gas 269. Got lots of people. Ooh, juniper pollen.
I just learned about juniper pollen at the distillery. We were talking about gin, so I won't complain too much about the juniper pollen.
From Cedar
Key, Florida, up in the Nature Coast. That's on the to-do list for sure.
Seal Beach, California. Got tons of you in here. Wow.
You feel like a star? I told her it would have at least 9 people.
All right, we got some questions, so we'll get back to those. Let's see, we have melting Indianapolis. Is anybody here from Buffalo? That's my question. We have Miranda, Merry Christmas from our sister and the kids.
Hello, sis. Oh, Benny will make an appearance. He was just up here.
Okay.
He's the real star of the show. All right. So now that we found out where y'all are from, what's Scott got coming up here on What's Up Wednesday? He's got some cool guests coming up. I know in January here, he's going to be doing Van Life Outfitters, who are sponsoring one of the get-togethers that are coming up. Live More Camper Vans in February, and I'm excited to see Road Trek. We see some pretty OG camper vans out on the highways from Road Trek, and then in March, Outdoorsy. They do RV rentals, which I'm pretty interested in that conversation. So if you like that kind of stuff, subscribe to Scott's channel. And if you're not subscribed, I mean, why are you here? He's got for van tours, for tips and tricks, for products that might help you out on the highway, and places to go see. I mean, we still search Scott's old videos for oh, where did he sleep when he was in Knoxville, or is there something cool to see in Baton Rouge? And we know he's got videos on those places. We go back and check the logs for that sort of thing. Van events. Speaking of van events, this is actually our first Go Small Live Large Get Up. You can see us back in the corner there with Kyle standing on Lily and me and Sandy, and there's even other van life YouTubers there, Chad and Paul and Kevin 30 and a Wake Up on there. We had a really good time. We were 9 days in the van.
Yeah, we just bought the van in Arizona.
And flew right to the meetup. So that's really cool. He's got some planned up. I know that January 19th, near the Florida RV Super Show, there's going to be a roundup surrounding that situation. And then here, everybody's really excited about this one, the Florida Van Life Gathering, 3 days of peace, love, and vans in the heart of beautiful Central Florida. FloridaVanLife.com is the place to go to check that out. And there's a savings code. I know it was 15% off, and I know that if you put the code in, that gets you grouped, I think, with the other vans, so you can all camp in the same area, all of the people that come on Scott's promo code. That ought to be pretty cool. And here's one I'm really excited about. Since we're in Texas, we're actually already registered for this one, so scratch that 10. It's down to 9. There's room for 9 more camper vans, March 11th to the 13th, 2023, in Lukenbach in Fredericksburg, Texas. Live music, shopping, wine tasting, history, and of course Van Life Fellowship. This is going to be a cool time. Do a little bit of caravanning, the Texas Vanboree. So save the date for that one if you want to come out and hang out with Scott, with us, and I'm sure a few more of you cool folks. And then back to our lovely Constitution. That's our van. That's what we're talking about here on What's Up Wednesday, and that's been our home for the past 2 years.
So for those of you who don't know, we have a 2021 Travato GL NPF, which means it's a couple years newer than Scott's van, but otherwise almost exactly the same.
Same floor plan.
Yeah, we have
Volta system.
Pretty much the same setup. Well, we say that Scott sold us our van, so
yeah, he should have earned a commission on this one, because I didn't know that such a thing existed until I started watching him on YouTube. Back when before we even considered traveling and travel nursing, I found the van, and I'm looking around online like, oh man, it's like a space shuttle. You're in your own little escape pod off in the world, and you can go wherever, whenever you want to. And then once we thought about travel nursing, things just started to click together.
Come this way a little bit. You're out of the frame.
Oh, I'm sneaking off the camera, trying to hide.
Trying to hide in the corner. So we're going to tell you a little bit about us and a little bit about how we got into the van, and then we'll jump right into some of your questions and do the FAQ thing.
Do you want to grab some now?
I think we should say a little bit about us because some people don't know us at all.
So if you didn't happen to catch the last live stream we did, well, actually we were just on last week decorating Scott's van in practice for this week, but about 1.5 years ago, he did a Q&A with us. We were 6 months in the van at that point, and we told a little bit of our story and what it's like traveling with the travel nursing. Of course, now we've grown up, and we've done it so many different ways, different types of campgrounds, different locations in the country that it's been pretty interesting.
We are 2 years full-time in here. We have been home a couple of times, but even when we go home, we pretty much still stay in the van. I've done 5 contracts, I think, since we bought the van, 5 travel nursing contracts. So I'm a travel labor and delivery nurse. That's kind of our roadmap of where we've been so far.
Turning into a bit of an arteriogram. The bright green areas are places we've really gotten to explore and get to know, and the routes we've taken in between them. If you're along any of these, shout us out. It's going to be pretty cool. Back up there in the corner of Ohio, almost in Lake Erie, is home country for us, the flattest part of Ohio, I think. And that's where we had our little tiny farm, where I was raising Nigerian dwarf dairy goats and hand milking them every morning, evening, rain, shine, or snow. And we
Lots of snow.
we had Muscovy ducks and lots of chickens, and we were building a little farm and deciding whether or not we wanted to settle down in the world. What did your life look like before?
Well, before we started on the road, I was a labor and delivery travel nurse, or staff nurse, actually, in Geauga, Ohio. So I worked there for about 3 years, I think, right? Yeah, and had no intentions to travel. We put roots down. We had goats. We had ducks. We were going to live there forever, so we thought. And when, let's see, you found Scott first, right?
Yeah.
You found Scott and was showing me his videos, and my response to that was, hey, that's pretty cool, but
preposterous, impossible,
you're crazy. That could never be a thing.
Mean?
Like, I'm a nurse. I can't do that. And so I started looking into travel nursing, and that's all she wrote. We kind of convinced each other, huh?
Yeah, we were deciding whether to spend more money improving that property, to keep doing the real food kind of thing we were interested in, because that's one of the things that's driving our travel and our learning about the different parts of the world is sustainability, self-responsibility, real food, and that we were going to be putting fences in on this property, and it just wasn't laid out correctly. It wasn't quite big enough. We decided we wanted more grass. So we put the brakes on that property, and like, what are we going to do in the meantime? And we found a way to take Sandy's job on vacation with us. So we get to learn about all these different parts of the country, explore, and maybe eventually, when we get tired of it, figure out a place to put down roots. But there's no plans to stop right now. I mean, I don't know what we do after the van, and I don't even want to think about it at this point.
We consider ourselves reverse retired. So yeah, we're still working, but we're on the road and we're having fun with all the retirees out there.
So once we figured out the travel nursing scheme, we packed up everything that we thought was important in the world. You see the cat
guitar,
buried himself,
coffee pot, and the cat.
That's about it. Honestly, we were happy traveling in the back of a 2017 Honda Accord, and we discovered that Benny liked to car camp. We took him with us, litter box and all, out in the wild.
And while Benny loves hotels, we figured out pretty quickly that was not our favorite thing.
It's not the easiest thing in the world finding hotel rooms when you have a cat, if you admit that you have a cat. But Benny very, very much enjoyed the hotel rooms, the fine establishments of Candlewood Suites. And that's what led us to finding our van a little sooner than we had anticipated. We figured, why are we wasting time and money traveling?
Paying for Airbnbs and paying
traveling in a less optimal way. You know, this way we don't have to unpack a drawer, we don't have to move the litter box, and we're home all the time. And it's initially the first couple travel contracts we did. We were traveling in Airbnbs or what's called what's the website for travel nurses?
Furnish Finders.
Furnish Finders, yeah, where like a house that's empty, getting ready to go for sale or something, they'll rent out for a few months to a travel nurse for housing. We did that once or twice. And again, you're moving every 3 months. You're unpacking drawers, repacking drawers, living out of bags and boxes. And while it was really fun, we got to stay in some cool places. A little adobe casita in Taos, New Mexico, fancy Florida houses with the lanai and the wildlife pond in the backyard. But really, with our van, we get to pull up And some of you know what this is like. Just pull up into a state park and then that's your front yard for the day.
We live here now.
Yeah.
And that's truly what it feels like. Traveling in the van has been so much different than our Airbnbs. For example, when we were traveling to the Airbnb, we were trying to make the like the actual travel portion as short as possible, because we didn't like staying in those hotels. So we were quick. We would drive 10 hours, camp or something, and then drive 10 hours and we were there. We didn't get to experience anything in the middle. We didn't get to do any excursions or experiencing anything about the country that we were, driving across for 20 hours. So our travel since we got the van has looked so much different in a way that we have absolutely loved.
And it is a little unique because of the way her job works. Being in a stable area, somewhat stable, for 3 months at a time, we're living in the van, but we're not working remotely.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that home base where we are when Sandy's working, but we can take a trip out. If you've got a 4-day weekend, you can go out 4 hours and stop, 2 hours and stop, and make a big loop and really cover some ground in a given area of the country, around a city or in a particular environment. And we really cover a lot of ground that way. We decide, let's go out to the west this weekend. Let's go out to the east this weekend and see so much more and get such I think, a richer experience that way.
Are you ready to take some questions?
Absolutely.
All right, let's start. We're kind of going back a little ways. Start at the top. We'll do some questions because I skipped them when we were saying hello to y'all.
I saw a couple travel nurse ones in there.
Oh, Lord, that means I have to talk. From Sherry, we say, when doing the traveling nurse assignments, do you take a certain number of weeks off in a year and try to plan for those between assignments? So we're a little bit more flexible than that. We don't set anything in stone. I like to work pretty continuously. I always joke if I have more than 10 days off in a row, I start to go crazy, which is one reason that travel nursing works so well for us. I get to keep my full-time job and we still get to go and see the world and experience things. So a lot of travel nurses take a month off in between assignments. I don't tend to unless it happens by accident.
Like this time.
Yeah. So this time around, if you're most of you probably don't know, I had an assignment lined up to start December 13th and I actually got canceled. They just didn't have the need for me anymore. So we have an extra, I think it was a month off now, which is fun. We're exploring Texas and getting to see some things that otherwise we would have driven straight to San Antonio and started working. So we're just kind of having a little extended vacation.
Right here. What's your process?
Oh, you had already scrolled it, threw me off.
What is your process for finding places to park each night? And this one really varies. On contract, we generally rent somewhere for, try not to whack the table and shake the camera. On contract, we generally rent somewhere for the duration, even if that means we don't stay there all the time. For instance, in upstate New York, it was a nice RV park / trailer park where we stayed throughout the week. And then when it got busy on the weekends, we'd take off and go explore somewhere new. And it was inexpensive enough that we didn't mind using the van to get away and to get out on vacation, even though we had something paid for back home. And we do stay at a lot of Cracker Barrels, the ubiquitous van life cracker docking. And we also really like state parks. Sometimes we'll do a week or two at a time in a given state park if it's really nice. And through the week too, when it's empty and you feel like you have the place to yourself, especially when, because we live in here full time.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are our favorite days to camp. That's when we try and get out. And
it's amazing how once it quiets down and the parks aren't full, or the wildlife comes back out, or if you get a nice quiet cloudy day when things start to happen that you don't get to see when there's a bunch of people around.
So our process usually involves just Googling what's close to us. I use the All Stays app a lot, and I look and find. We don't plan a lot in advance. Like we have our campground for the time that we're on contract. But if we're not on contract or those weekend days, we're like, what do you want to do on Friday?
Get a wild hair and take off. Yeah.
And then we just go. Yeah. So All Stays, I'd say, is the app that I use the most. We also use iOverlander and
whereas Scott is kind of an urban cowboy, and you've seen a lot of that on his channel. We really like to get out into wilderness and get disconnected.
Camp in national forests
and trailheads and places that allow overnight parking, but aren't necessarily your traditional campground. And while we do street park every once in a while, we enjoy that trailhead that you're off in the boonies and there's no lights or anything. And that's one of the things that What?
I was thinking about Bear Swamp Road
Oh,
when
goodness.
you started to say that.
And that's the thing about iOverlander. It's an app mostly, I think, for the more rugged 4-wheel drive types that you get off in the middle of nowhere where maybe you're allowed to sleep here. We do, and we get away with it. But you find places like that. But North Bear Swamp Road, where were we? Vermont.
Vermont.
And it was the sketchiest place we've ever had the van. I mean, at one point I had to get out and move a rock into a rut so we could get across.
We could actually go. And it was kind of getting later in the evening. So it was like, is this a good idea? Probably not. But like, where else are we going to go?
We like to say there's a fine line between adventure and misadventure. And that line, that's right where all the good stories happen.
Yes. It sure is. All right, did you do special training to be a travel nurse? My niece wants to do that. So for all of you aspiring travel nurses out there, you don't have to do anything special, but you do have to get experience before you can travel. So what that means is you have to go get a nursing degree, either a 2 or 4 year degree that allows you to be an RN. There are some LPNs who travel, but I'd say it's much more common for registered nurses or RNs. And then you have to get 2 years in the specialty that you want to travel in. So if you're not familiar with nursing, that could be labor and delivery like me, or it could be ICU, ER, med-surg, any one of those areas. And then when you search for jobs online, you're going to look for your specialty. So I only travel in labor and delivery. I only help people deliver their babies. Occasionally I do postpartum, but that's not my favorite. And yeah, so special training, not really. You also have to be a flexible person and somebody who's kind of a go-getter, because most places you go to, I would say, are nice to you, but I would also say that a lot of the time they want to test you and they want to make sure that you...
They really need your help, so they want you to show up and they want you to know what you're doing. Yeah. I think that's the biggest things.
Yeah, I do. I think so too. But some people know what they're doing and they can show up and they can handle that, but sometimes there's like a people element is all I'm saying. Got to be able to hold your own. And all of the nurses I've worked with have been absolutely fabulous. Once they get to know you, they realize that you're there to help them and that you want to work hard to help out their unit. They adopt you, and
they keep begging for you to come back.
It was actually really hard to leave Richmond, Virginia, because the nurses there and I just connected and bonded so well that I if I could go back, I would. Maybe I will someday
when it warms up.
Yeah.
So what aspects of a travel nurse are enabled by using the Class B? I think we touched on this a little bit with picking a certain area and allowing to explore a little bit. Now that enables our travel, but
so I think there's 2 good things about travel nursing in an RV. The main one is you don't have to pack everything up every time you move, because our contracts are only 3 months long, which is not a very long time to have to move your entire house with you or everything that you want to have with you.
It's such a relief from the logistics and the moving and finding housing.
Yeah. So for the couple of times that we did it in the Airbnbs or the furnished finders, I much prefer the van because we don't have to figure out packing up, things like that. Also, if the contract does get canceled, which occasionally happens with travel nursing, we're not homeless.
Yeah, and we didn't put down a deposit that we can't get back on something where, I mean, and it's fair. The landlord expected you to be there, so that's a thing.
Yes.
Justin Christie, how often do you have to manually defrost your fridge?
Put him up on the screen.
There you go. Click on him. Excellent. Hi, Justin. We ran into Justin for the first time at a Cracker Barrel. We didn't even say hi. We didn't know we were headed to the same Go Small, Live Large meetup.
We're like, is that another Travato over there?
Oh, he's got a big dog.
Hi, Bernie.
Say hi to Bernie. Well, it depends on whether I'm in Miami or not. How humid it is outside is such a big deal. I should do it a little more. I need to do it right now more often than I do. Like, I honestly...
Hair dryer and a towel.
Yeah, I do. I open it up, shut it off, and run the hairdryer on it until that one big chunk of ice comes off, throw it out the window.
It's not really that often, though.
No, I mean,
months?
I should do it once a month, and I don't. I don't even do it that often.
What birding app do you use? Bird nerd.
A question right up my alley. I love this. And it's not even my Uncle Steve, who's a fellow birder. What birding app do you use? Merlin. I love Merlin. And since they added Song ID too, that's really cool. Merlin, a bird ID from, I believe it's Cornell University, is primo. Yeah, that's my favorite one. By the way, whooping cranes, Texas, right where we're at, we just got to see whooping cranes.
For the first time.
That's pretty cool.
How many new birds have you added to your life?
9 since we've been in Texas. 9 new birds. I love coming west of the Mississippi.
I think we already answered this one. Do you try to find a long-term place? We do, but we also move around.
Yes.
Yes. The answer is yes. Hey, Mom.
She just says Ohio. Oh, that's where you're watching from. I know.
we know where you are. This is Chris's mom, Beth Thatcher. Good to see you, Beth. Hello from Louisville.
Louisville.
Hello from Reno. Naples, Florida.
Ooh, Naples. We love Naples.
We love
Naples, Fort
Naples.
Myers area.
This is friend Mesa Mike. Hey guys, what free apps do you use to plot your stayovers, boondocking spots, and places to stay? So
like she said, we don't go too far ahead of time. We try to have a rough idea of what direction we're heading. We do rely a lot on places like a Cracker Barrel here and a national forest there, because we usually are looking for the natural wonders, the more off the beaten path travel destinations, and that lends us toward those sorts of things.
I think that's why I end up using iOverlanders so much rather than All Stays, because iOverlanders is user submitted places. It's like, hey, we stayed here and it was fine, or hey, I asked the cop and he said it was fine. So we do try to stay always someplace that's legal or has been tested and proven that it's okay to hang out here. But we try to do like a lot of trailheads.
And I'm a worrywart. I don't like to get the knock. It's only happened a couple times, but
has it ever happened?
Not in the middle of the night. Not in the middle of the night.
Only at the hospital.
I will say I have to mention Harvest Host, because it's such a cool program. We do use that occasionally. Depending on whether our intended route has, the density of places, because I love checking out a new winery or mostly the museums really get to me and that sort of thing, places to hang out. So Harvest Host is just excellent.
And it gets you off the beaten path. It gets you to see things that you wouldn't have gone and done otherwise. That's what I like about it. Okay, looking for more questions here. What kind of van do you have? Just Scott's little brother, right? We have a 20. I'd say little because we're younger.
It's a 21 Travato GL NPF, the National Parks Edition, Winnebago Travato.
He does have a remote job. Tell us about that job.
Do I have a remote job? Well, I work from home. I am a homemaker. That's what I am. I was always the domestic one. So even at home, I used to work at like a hardware stores, or I did retail merchandising for a while. But I was really the cook and cleaner, and it takes a lot of work to take care of a good provider. She's always better at going to work than I am. I like to do all of the artsy fartsy homemakey,
He's very good at keeping a home. And I think you didn't work for outside the home for probably a year before we started traveling. Is that right? So because we had our little dairy goats and our little tiny farm, he took care of all of that, and of course made me 3 square meals a day, which he still does in the van. Would you say it's harder to be a housewife on the road or at home at the farm?
Well, I don't have to wrestle with 11 baby goats that are trying their hardest to strangle themselves. So there's a benefit to being on the road. No.
You can't bring goats with you.
The thing about the smaller area is we have so much less stuff. And this is another thing we say. If you're not going to be a minimalist, at least be an optimalist. And so what we've done is we've gotten rid of a lot of the stuff that in a home that takes up space in your cupboards, but it takes up space in your mind too. And it's important to really look hard at what you really need in your life and the things that you're working on that don't benefit you.
Because even if you're not in a van, you're carrying all that around with you, at least in your head. Right.
So I would say it's better now that we're in the van, even though I still have to sweep out just as much dirt as we tracked into our house. I track it into 125 square feet. So I'm, that's my
that's your lot in life.
Lot
sweeping.
In life.
Do you have traveling agencies that you recommend? So I do. I travel almost exclusively with Trusted Health. They have a little green heart logo. There's also Health Trust. That's a different company. So make sure it's Trusted Health. And I recommend them to anybody. I've done 7 contracts with them, or I think this will be my 7th with them, my 8th total.
Right here, Mike, Sandia. I was informed that it's Sandia.
Sandia.
I said Sandia. The Texans made fun of me. Is where it's at. This is a fellow birder who told me where to see those whooping cranes. Ooh, and a vermilion flycatcher, which I was really excited to see there.
Dorothy asked, do you have a brick and mortar address for your mail and licensures? How do you get your mail? So we do. We actually rent a room from his mom back in Northeast Ohio. So that's where we technically live, even though we're on the road, I'd say 90% of the time. because we do the little bit of a unique travel where we stay in the same place for 3 months at a time, we usually get a post office box when we're there. And sometimes they'll give you some pushback and say that you need a local address, but that is not correct. The website says you need an address. It does not have to be local. So I always just push a little bit and say, hey, I have a legal address. It's here on my driver's license. I have a piece of mail to prove it to you. We get a PO box, and then we get our local mail.
I think we had one post office give us a little trouble with that. The last two haven't really cared.
At least two.
Well,
it was at least two that argued
2
with
out of
me,
5.
and I won.
She always wins. Yeah, so you can get them for 3 months or 6 months and cancel at the end. It hasn't been a problem.
So this is coming from my best friend, Nicole Petnetti, and her son, Grayson, who is a nephew to me. Grayson would like to know when you are coming to our house again. He said he really misses you two guys and love watching Benny.
One of our favorite driveways to camp in.
We are always mooch docking at Nicole's house if we can get there. It's so hard. You live in Ohio.
Springtime.
Springtime, yeah. Once it warms up, Grayson, we will come visit you and we'll bring Benny so that you can pet him. Black and Blue Poodles, hi from Florida. I think they're a subscriber to our show. It's pretty cool. And
have you needed to make any mods to your van to suit your full-time van life? Well,
from Jennifer,
I would say
Hayashi?
I would say no. We did swap out the bathroom shower faucet because it was a cheap faucet with a diverter that ran up to a shower head. That was less than functional, so we put in an aftermarket product there. That's kind of an improvement. I wouldn't call it a major mod. I had to drill a hole.
It was a big deal though, because it took the shower. The shower was functional but somewhat unpleasant. And
now it's
perfect. I rather would shower in the van. I would rather shower in the van than anywhere else at this point. So
I think the floor plan is the biggest deal. If you look carefully at how you think you're going to live in the van or spend some time in the space, that's why we knew we needed this van. And having spent so much time watching Scott live in his, I was like, I can do that. That I can do. And I had never considered another RV at all. But with this, our extendable table, which you're sitting on right now, the dinette area, it's like having a tiny little 4-bedroom. And so that is the magic of living in here full time for us, is having a couple spaces. She can be in the bed while I'm up here working. But no major changes.
I think the bathroom is the only thing big that we did.
I mean, I have 3M hooks and a surge protector, but
yeah, I don't think that counts as a mod. I'm trying to think if we did anything else. No, the GL, like he said, is a floor plan that we wanted.
And when they changed it to the 22, they shrank this table and made a couple changes to the bathroom. We flew to Arizona from Ohio on like 2 days notice
prior to
before we had intended to buy the van just to get one of the last ones of these that we could find. And I'm so glad we did.
Yes, me too. Constitution was meant to be ours.
That's what we named the van, Constitution. Have you done any birding or nature festivals on your travels? I have not done a nature festival. I don't know what that is, but it sounds lovely. How do I get there?
Drop us more information.
Birding, yes, I do, just kind of casually. Whenever we're in a new place, I try to find out, hey, what's that cool thing that only lives here? And I try to find it. And I've already checked whooping cranes off the list. That was pretty cool.
How many birding books do you have in the van?
Books? Only 2.
I don't believe you.
I have my Eastern and Western National Audubon Society field guides.
Okay. And your Merlin ID app. Those are your primary, and your binoculars. Those are your primary tools. Hi from Lancaster, Ohio. Did I say that right?
I think that's PA, actually.
Oh,
I think you say Lancaster.
Lancaster for Ohio? I don't know.
Word nerd.
From Black and Blue Poodles, is there an app that you found you like more for finding state parks in particular? I am finding myself drawn to a good state park. Sorry, I'm trying to wreck the van.
Yeah, check these out. I should have made this our recommendation, our product recommendation. There's a 3-book series like this National Geographic. There's a guide to state parks. There's a guide to national parks. And the other one is Scenic Highways and Byways. And we use these physical references so much more than the apps, and it's got some like the greatest hits list, all of the cool stuff for state parks anyway, and some honorable mentions. I know that the last edition had my mom, Mosquito Lake State Park, where she's a camp host every summer, was in the last edition. It's not in ours, but it's got a ton of information, and it shows you, I mean, restaurants in the area, how to get there, how much it costs, whether they have hiking, biking, canoeing, all of that stuff. We really love those books, and we use the Scenic Highways and Byways one all the time to find little connecting trips between the cities to keep us off the interstate. That's a really good thing that you pulled those up out of there.
Yeah, I don't know, like I like online resources, and I love that it's tiny and it can fit in my iPad and I don't have to have a physical book, but I've actually found them a bit lackluster when it comes to finding natural areas, state parks, national parks.
And they're always trying to siphon you off into either an advertisement
Ads,
or into
yeah.
what they want you to see. And the books,
we
really
like the books the best. And in short of that, if those books or if the state park we're looking at isn't in there, I just go to Google and I type in state park, and then I can see what's around me. And from there, I'll just use the state's website for that park to read the description and see what's going on there. But us too, we are drawn to good state parks or anywhere off the beaten path, really, we try and get into.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Tax question?
Taxes.
Don't run away, folks.
Is the room that you're renting from Chris's mom home considered a tax home? Confused on what classifies as a tax home. So this is a travel nursing question. So if you're not into that, that's okay. Just block me out for a minute. You do have to have an established state,
I'll entertain everybody else.
Residence where you live. So what establishes a tax home is employment in the area. So when I was a staff nurse, I worked within commuting distance to Chris's mom's house. So we all lived in the same area, and I worked in that area for a significant period of time. For me, that was 3 or 4 years as a nurse before I started traveling. So I had a tax home set up there already. It can be owned, the actual house, you can own it, you can rent it. It really doesn't matter. What really matters is the working there. The best resource for travel nurse tax questions is traveltax.com. And that is an actual, I don't know what they're called, CPA. That's an actual person who would do your taxes. And he does do taxes for travel nurses, but he'll also answer your questions for free. They have a phone number, they have an email, traveltax.com.
Hey guys, make sure to promote your channel. Chris produces great videos on Beyond the Look, there's Mike doing all the work for me.
Thanks, Mike.
We do have a baby YouTube channel. Scott told us to mention it. Actually, a lot of you have already found us over there. We're just getting started sharing some of the fun stuff we've been doing, and I like to make pretty videos, and I've got so much stuff recorded from the past 2 years. I can't wait to put up over there. So we do have a little bit of a baby YouTube, and I guess I don't mind mentioning it. I'd love to see you guys over there. I think we have like 280 subscribers. So just getting started, but thanks for mentioning that, Mike. We really appreciate it. More questions. Saying that, what about not having a sink in the bathroom? We do have a sink in our bathroom. It's for a 21, it's a round. I think the new ones have a square sink up against the wall, but we do have a hand washing sink in the bathroom, and that's where our shower comes off of. So I'm not sure about that question.
Well, I was going to say, maybe he's thinking, what if we didn't have a sink? Would we care? Is it necessary? Is the bathroom sink necessary?
Honestly, no.
I say yes. I say yes, because frequently this sink Chris is using, or he's got dishes in it, or there's something going on in there that I don't want to be a part of, but I need to brush my teeth or wash my hands. So
even in 125 square feet, we've got his and her sinks.
Redundancy is usually a good thing.
That's a big theme. Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to have 2 sinks. We like it.
Oh, here's a question. David O'Keefe says, are you low carb? I checked out your videos on your YouTube channel. Noticed you cook a lot of meat and eggs. I eat low carb. That's why I noticed it. I see you. I see you. We're pretty darn close to carnivore. I don't know if we want to come out on the
come out.
Yeah.
We're out of the closet. We eat carnivore.
Yeah, low carb. We both lost, I think, 45 pounds each when we first went. No sugar, no grains back in the day. And we keep getting lower and lower carb. It's helped with my anxiety, migraines. Our sleep is better. It's a whole thing. If you want to talk about that, that's a whole can of worms we haven't tried to open yet.
To open then. But we've been low carb for 4 years.
Yeah.
4 years low carb and almost 6 months carnivore.
6 months ago in the van, we started, I'm always grilling out ahead of time, managing vegetables in the smaller fridge in here. It's been so much easier, grilling out some steaks and burgers ahead of time, heating them up. I swapped out. Ooh, there's a mod, living full time in the oven.
Yeah.
I did put it in the oven, in the van. I put an oven in the van instead of our microwave. The G does not have the clearance for the standard Winnebago convection oven that they put in. So I took the microwave out, happened to find one that was exactly the same size, and then put in it's a toaster oven. It's an air fryer. I don't air fry in it. But to warm up burgers and do some light, I mean, even roasting of broccoli and cauliflower.
Oh, that saved our life a couple times because you've made a bacon wrapped pork loin in that thing, like a whole pork loin. And we're out stealth camping somewhere and we have no food. And we're like, let's just see what happens. And it was fabulous. It worked very well.
It's been such a game changer. 10 minutes in the oven, boom, done.
Well, that one was a lot longer than 10.
Well, reheating. Does Chris take you to your job every day, or do you take an Uber on the campsite? So we actually used to travel with the van and her Honda Accord. We stopped doing that the past, 2 contracts. This one and the last one.
Well, yeah, this one, but we haven't started yet.
So now I do. I have been. We get up in the morning, and commute, and sometimes she gets ready in the parking lot. We'll commute in our PJs, have coffee and everything. And you know what? That gets me up in the morning early because we get up 4:30 when she's going into work at 7. Especially if you have to commute, right?
Yeah.
So we get up early, and then once she goes into work, I have a little bit of quiet time and head out to a beautiful park somewhere or figure out what errands I'm going to get done for the day. It gets me up, and then it gets me back toward the hospital in the evening time, and I'm ready for her to come in, and I've got dinner, and we do the whole thing again. So I don't mind it at all.
I suppose I could Uber, but we're country people. We never did Ubering
When we lived in the snow belt, I had a 35-minute commute anyway, so it's not that much different.
Uber's not a thing where we live, so we just haven't done it much. But we also are toying with the idea of getting like an e-bike, but so far we just haven't been able to add that complication.
And then even if I have to take you a little closer to town, you can drop me off and
pedal on into the city. We'll see. Black and Blue says, thanks for the book recommendation. We appreciate that. Mike says, I think you guys got the NPE. I was trying to get here in Arizona. So yeah. Sorry, Mike. I'm stuck with a 2022 GL.
Hey, I love your van. It's fine.
If you did not have the Travato, which other van would you have purchased?
I didn't even look at a single other one.
We would have built one.
Teresa, I really love Teresa's Beyond with that
that's
bed
true.
In the bed with all the windows.
Frisco T's Beyond is very sharp, and she's got it decorated like very homey. I would move in there with her.
I saw she had the fireplace up like we did in here.
Yes, I loved that.
Oh, here he is. Scott, you all are doing great. Tips on getting along in a small space as a couple. Well, our personalities are exactly opposite. And that might sound like a bad thing, but where one of us lacks, the other one fills in the space, luckily. So we do pretty well in a small area, all things considered. She's like, do we? Do we?
No, we really do, but we're different speeds. Yeah. So sometimes it's very hard because I want to get up, get out, get moving, and Chris has to take his time to. Yeah, it's almost time for that. Chris has to take his time to get settled and to do that kind of thing. So what we've learned, 2 things: noise canceling headphones is number 1. If you have a partner that, doesn't want to read the same book you're reading or doesn't want to listen to music, Chris is very disturbed by external stimuli. So
when I'm overwhelmed, it gets to me.
So I put the headphones in and we can participate in separate corners, and that works well. And then also, don't be afraid to get out and do something separate. I don't know that everybody needs that advice, but for us, we've always done things together. Yeah. It wasn't something that we were very good at all. So recently I've taking some solo walks or runs, or
she needs a lot of physical exercise in the morning to get
crazy.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not working right now. Usually just going to work is enough, but
right. And I need to clean and tidy and settle before I can move into things in the daytime, and then we get a little bit of that, and then we come back and have a great day the rest of the day. So that's pretty key.
So it is almost 6:45, so we're almost to the point where we need to do Libation Live.
Sure, we'll keep answering questions. How about you grab our fancy beverage?
Okay.
And I'll answer 1 or 2 because I see a couple more here. How are we doing on slides?
We have a couple more slides to show them, actually.
Here, I can bring up those.
You can do that while I get the drinks.
Sandy's going to prep Libation Live for us. We got something cool. I think Scott will be proud of us. Here's our Constitution in Tucson when we went to pick her up. And there she is at our first Go Small Live Large meetup. You'll recognize Lily there in her cowboy livery.
Hide Scott's comment.
Oh yeah, we'll drop Scott. I mean, he's featured in this one. So cool to have Lily there. And here's lovely Luke. I had to drop this in here before we even had Benny in the van. Luke hopped in, and we still call this the Luke shelf in memory of Van Life Luke. And he hopped right up there like it was his home and said, "Hey, this is where I stand when I get dinner."
He was like, "Where's my food?
Give me dinner."
He was in
the OG Van Panther right there.
Yes.
And here's our own. Once we did pick him up, that's Benny. Is he still sleeping in the pizza
He's
oven?
in the pizza oven.
There's Benny in his favorite spot. He, even when we have the bed folded up, he climbs in there and sleeps like his apartment. I don't think this causeway is there anymore. This is Sanibel on the way out to Sanibel, hanging out with Lily again. And that's our story in pictures. What do we got here? Let me skip ahead. Make us big here.
Well, oh yeah, we can just make us big for a minute.
Check this out, guys. Aerodrome Distilling. Straight bourbon, cast strength. You gonna pour that for us? I'll bring up the slide.
I got a bartend.
Oh yeah. It's not something you haven't done before.
I love this. Remove before flight.
Yeah, check that out.
This was
it's an aviation themed distillery right next to the airport, and that was on the label there. So we'll bring this up. Here's our Libation Live Aerodrome Distillery. It's the first and only distillery in Corpus Christi so far. It's local, veteran owned. The owner was a Navy pilot for a long time. And the bar we went into, they have pictures on their website, really good pictures. They have an airplane wing is the bar, and then the light fixture above is another airplane wing, and everything's all decked out. Really, really cool. And they have, there's a picture of our bottle here in the Corpus Christi sunshine out on Mustang Island. Benny featured in the background. So we're going to enjoy that while we finish answering the next couple questions here. This is a straight bourbon, 61 or 60% alcohol. So that's 120 proof.
I'm not sure I want a picture of me on the internet drinking straight 120.
Oh, it's potent, but boy, is it smooth. It is good. And we even got nice glasses and a big old ice cube tray just for tonight.
All right. Which slides did you skip to get to this one?
I can go back to it, but I did want to mention a couple things here. Sure. We did have Welcome to My Home Corpus, Melanie. And David O'Keefe says, I lost 60 pounds on low carb.
Congratulations, David.
Like I said, that's a whole nother can of worms, but yeah, huzzah.
As Ken Berry would say.
Howdy y'all from Ron.
Rob says, what are you doing for internet?
What are you all doing for internet?
Don't touch it because we don't want to jinx things right now.
Since we're all running on that.
Let it stay
we have the same Verizon hotspot that Scott has. It's they call it 8800 something jetpack. And we bought it back when it was a grandfathered plan, or we're grandfathered now, but it was an unlimited plan. So it's been the only thing we really need so far. Sometimes our phone will work a little better than that, and we'll use a phone hotspot or find Wi-Fi at a library or something like we are here at a library just for backup. But we're cooking right along.
Our internet was much faster than the library.
Here in Corpus Christi, the cellular internet, we're pulling, I don't know, 170 down or something like that.
I recommend always a prepaid plan. Yeah. If you're into financials at all, prepaid plan is where it's at as far as the cost goes.
And then Scott with GSLO has the same van, right? Correct. Yeah. Ours has a 20. It's got the fourth battery pack because he's got 3 battery packs. We've got 4 battery modules. So a little more electrical power and different tires and wheels. But Scott's done all the upgrades to his, so it's really similar.
And then Sherry's answering for us.
Oh, nice.
All right. You want to go back to your slides?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
All right. And so really what I dropped here was this last slide. I wanted to talk about what it's been like adjusting to full-time van life. And we've kind of hit on these. The biggest things moving from our home-based life to full-time in the van was, well, I'll say adjusting your expectations, to manage your expectations. Don't expect the impossible. So set intentions. And that's so big with everything in life. Like really, really fearlessly ask yourself what it is you actually want. And then it's easier to figure out how to get there. Because when we realized we didn't want to stay in that property forever, it was like, oh, we can go do this. We have permission.
You may not know what the journey is going to look like, but it's a lot easier to figure that out if you know what your destination is. So that's why our channel is named Beyond Intention, because we believe in thinking about who you want to be and what you want to do and set that intention in advance and then figure out how to get there.
And so another thing to carry with you, if not minimalism, then optimalism. If you can't be a minimalist, then at least make sure the things that you have in your space, in your mind, that you're carrying around with you, whether it's possessions or worldviews. Make sure they're serving you. Make sure that they're actually helping you do the things in your life that you want to do. And so every purchase we make and every experience we decide to have, it's like, is this the quintessential? Is that the thing that am I really going to use that? Is that the thing that's going to help me accomplish whatever goal or perform whatever activity?
That careful consideration has really helped us thrive in this small environment, because we don't bring things into the van or into our lives that we don't think are going to benefit us in some way.
Or you have to do the hard work again to prune and be like, nope, get that out of here. I don't need that. That was a mistake. Again, don't be risky or risk averse. I like this one because don't ignore your creep alarm if you're parking somewhere that seems sketchy. You know, don't be too risky, but don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone. I hear that advice a lot, and that's a big deal. Don't be risk averse. Don't be afraid to push the boundaries a little bit and get somewhere that you wouldn't have gone otherwise, or take that trip if you weren't thinking about it.
I think people tend to err on the side of afraid of being risky. They're too afraid. They are not willing to jump in or not willing to run after it.
It's easy not to do all this cool stuff.
It is. Your comfort zone, it's called your comfort zone for a reason. Like, it's great to be there. However, if you are willing to dive in, set those intentions, and get out there and do something that's hard for you or that stretches your wings a little bit, that's where you're going to find the sweet spot of like, holy crap, this is my life. And I think that that's where we're at right now, right? Is like, we wake up every day like, are we really doing this? Is this still a real thing?
And even after 2 years, it still feels like, oh, we're finally getting it right.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing too, is expect the imperfections, because the van's not going to be in mint condition its whole life. You're always going to have something to think about, some step to plan, or so you ran out of food, or you ran out of gas, or that someone drops a kayak on your door and leaves dents and scratches.
That might have happened to us.
So there's always a story. Yeah. So those are the ones I moved through.
I think we'll do our van tip now.
So yeah, we've had some great live Q&A. So if any of that has brought up some other stuff, I'm so excited people ask birding questions. So if that brings up anything, get those in there. I do have a van tip for you. And this was my tip. It was her idea, but I made the slide, right? That's a picture of our collection of parks passes. So do your homework ahead of time about the area you're going to be traveling in. And I know we're a little unique because we get to spend 3 months in a given state. We're not moving around state to state like Scott, or some of you though, maybe you have your home state, and you should have your home state park pass. That's for sure. But it's more than just access to your state parks. If you get the national parks pass, there's 2,000 federal sites. Like we just did a video. There's the Wright Brothers Memorial is a national park site. All the national forests and whatnot.
St. Augustine, the
Castillo de San Marcos, the castle. These are all managed federally by the National Park Service, and where you might pay $8 or $10 or $20 to get into some of these things, your National Parks Pass gets you in there. And if you buy at the gate, you buy that thing at $70 or $80.
80.
The National Parks Pass is $80. If you pay that, that's 20% of the cost or whatever.
Well, for example, Castillo de San Marcos was $30 per person to get in. So that's $60 between the two of us.
And you're almost at
I paid
a year's worth of
$80
entry
for our yearly pass to get into all these different sites.
And we've also already bought the Texas State Parks Pass, which was, I think, $70. And it gets you into all of their state parks, which are $5 day fee each. And you pay that if you're going to camp there. So if you don't have the pass and you go to camp, you have to pay that times all of the days that you're staying there, and it's ridiculous. So you get that discount, and you get a discount on your second night stay. We've actually already paid for our Texas State Parks Pass by.
We stayed 5 nights.
5 nights, and it's already ameliorated itself. So again, it can pay for itself in just
and
weeks.
That gets you a discount if you're camping your second night. I'm not sure
if you book 2 nights at a time, your second night is, and quite the discount too. So that's the big thing. Research, do your homework ahead of time, and
even
see
if
if there's a way to
be in
get
the area for a super long time. Texas, you're here for 2 weeks. You've paid for it.
And in my case, like in Virginia, when I'm going to be dropping her off at work, I need somewhere to spend the day. If I've bought that state parks pass, I can head out to the state park and not have to worry about paying $8 every time to get in and spend my day there.
All right. And
we already talked about Libation Live Aerodrome. I'm telling you, it is very tasty. They have a bottle. They have a $350 bottle. They're doing a bottle aging experiment. This year's was 20 years old. They have a barrel for next year that'll be 21, 22. They're going to do a 26-year-old bourbon, and I tell you, even the 4-year-old one is. Oof.
Well, did you talk about this stuff already?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I think I was pouring the drinks.
Yep, we can move right through there.
Sure.
Nice shot of a Benny in that. And
yeah.
I do want to bring up a song of the week. I racked my brain with this one, but I've already sent all these recommendations. Scott used all my good stuff on What's Up Wednesday in the past, but this one I can't talk enough about. Nathaniel Rateliff. The song we picked is "Say It Louder," but I'm really telling you, go out and listen to any song off any of his albums. You'll know the song. You might know the song "S.O.B." Give Me a Drink. It was a big hit. Nathaniel doesn't really like it that much, but it was a big deal, and I love all of his music, and that's his solo albums, and then his band is called the Night Sweats. So Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats, and they're all fantastic musicians with horns.
I was gonna say they do some things differently than a lot of.
Boy, it feels like real music.
Today.
It's real musicianship. They're live concerts on YouTube. So cool. One of these days we'll have to get out and see them. He's from Colorado, I think. Just great music, and Say It Louder will give you a good flavor for what his Night Sweat stuff sounds like. So I can't recommend that enough. He's almost the only current music that we listen to. We'll go ahead and burn through the rest of those.
I don't know what else we got left. Just
that's
one
about
more.
it.
That's it.
We can drop thank you for What's Up Wednesday for Benny. Do we have any more questions here?
Yeah, I'll just give a couple shout outs to, this is Maddie. This is somebody I worked with in upstate New York. Great to see you, Maddie. Thanks for tuning in. Let's see. Mike says, nice work, guys. See you next month on my stopover in Texas. We're so excited that Mike is going to visit
us. We will
us.
Definitely hook up somewhere.
We can carnivore out together. That sounds like a good time.
Absolutely.
Great tip on the parked passes. Thanks, Sherry.
Yeah, it lets you be so much more spontaneous when you're in the van. If you're doing the Class B thing, and you're like, oh, well, what's that on the way over there? Oh, it costs to get in. Maybe I don't want to drive out there if it's $20. But if you can get in for free, or if you've already paid your way in, really, it's so much easier just to head out there and see the stuff that you woke the beast up. There we go. He has to be featured.
He wants to say hi. He was dead asleep. I'm probably got him on my microphone.
Check out the Beyond Intention site.
Hi, buddy.
Appreciate the love, guys. Thanks, Sherry.
Thanks, Sherry.
I'll be checking out your Beyond Intention site. Sandy, thanks for all you do in nursing. Truly, and I'm very thankful, too. She's good at what she does.
Say hello to all the people, bud. That's your spot, huh? Did I wake you up? He's still asleep. Look that way.
Funny little beastie.
He's definitely not awake.
So great.
Well, we did
Thanks
pretty good. Is that?
Whoops, wrong button.
Are we time?
We're 57 minutes in, folks. You can't come up with any more questions?
No, I think we did pretty good. Journey on and peace be with you.
I've really enjoyed this. I do want to say one thing. With this being the last What's Up Wednesday of 2022, how crazy is that? We've been trying to think about all the cool stuff we've done this year and all the cool stuff we're going to be doing next year. I think it's going to be fun. We're going to do a big loop out west, work here in Texas, maybe work our way up north in the springtime and summertime. There are good things in store. It can be a better year than the last year. No matter what last year was like.
I was going to say last year was great.
No matter what last year was like, I'm so excited for all of this. And for all of you people, we've really enjoyed hanging out with Scott's community here, the Go Small Live Large crowd. They've been real supportive over on our channel, and we've got to meet a lot of you in person, and it's been such a great time every time we get to hang out. I recognize so many names in here.
I was just going to say, we like to joke that they give you the YouTube channel when you buy the van.
Yeah, everybody that lives in a van has a YouTube channel, but it's where we hang out.
It's our community.
In places when you're never in the same state for more than a couple months, or in Scott's case, a couple weeks, and you meet somebody one time and then they take off for the other side of the country, the internet is a place where we're still meet up and have some family, have some community. And even in cases like this, where I've got my mom and my sister on here shouting me out. I love it. Great job, guys. Safe travels. Thanks so much. We've had a really good time. If that's it, then do I have the honor really of saying journey on?
Journey on.
How cool is that?